From the inception of the opportunity to work on Rybolt Park, we were excited about it because it creates an extraordinary opportunity to create a green community, a community that is enduring and really embraces the idea of sustainability. When we consider the context of Rybolt Park and its relationship as a piece of property near the University of Central Florida, we have to recognize the growth of the university itself. Today, we're third largest university in the country in student population, but it still needs room to grow. We need to recognize that its future will change the surrounding community. It's our responsibility that we now have to figure out how to retrofit the surrounding area to accommodate the future growth and the importance of the university. That the Rybolt Park property and project is a key component of that, and maybe the most immediate and most important component of that, because there's not a lot of choices to support the university and its housing demand in the short term, because there's not those infill properties available west of the Econ, immediately adjacent to the university. And this property is unique that it can accommodate that without precipitating growth further to the east.
The East Orlando market is different from other sub-markets within the Orlando area due to the high level of technology jobs that occur at University of Central Florida Research Park, the Quadrangle, Lockheed Martin, and various other small businesses that have grown as a result of this kind of activity. That's why it's necessary for housing to be planned for in the future, is to reduce the number of use strips that will continue to grow unless this is resolved.
As part of the core principles of community planning, especially for Rybolt Park, recognizing the support to the university types of business and research, we have included a significant job center in terms of the village center and essentially a employment neighborhood. And that creates over 2 million square feet of office and research space within the community itself. And what's important about that, it means you don't have to leave the community to go to work. You could walk to work, you could bike to work, you could take an internal transit connector to work. You don't have to get in your car to do it. We think that's a significant component of creating jobs to housing balance within the community itself, supporting the university, and recognizing that communities have to be that organism that you have to have all the pieces together to make it work, and certainly that's a major component of the community itself.
Some people have told us that they think the land should stay as a cattle ranch, but we disagree. We think that that's no longer appropriate, and we've struggled to always use the land in an appropriate way. Originally, that was, and just to keep it in its natural state, as the family did for a short period of time, and then they had a timber operation and a turpentine operation. And eventually, as cattle became more and more popular in the area, we turned to the cattle ranching business and then citrus. And now we're surrounded by development. We have urban services in the area, and it's time to do something else. We'd like to see a community here that everybody would enjoy living in.
This is an evolution of town planning and taking the best of what we learned in Baldwin Park and other projects we've done of this nature and taking it to a higher level. Raising the standard on development, which is one of the things that the family felt was important as they wanted to create a legacy, and one way to do that is raise the standards on development and the character and nature of the community itself. As part of the principles of Rybolt Park is the opportunity to create jobs, to create an economic center, and to create a support to the economic driver of the university. It's important to have a full range of housing, accessible and workforce housing within the community to do that. And the county's requirement is 10%, and we've made a commitment within the plan to be 20% for workforce housing.
The job forecast for East Orlando is anticipated to grow significantly over the next 2 decades. Part of that, a significant part of that will be jobs anchored at Central Florida Research Park and University of Central Florida and surrounding businesses that support both of those entities. As Rybolt develops and goes forward, it also will create about 5,000 jobs. And again, the advantage of Rybolt doing so is that the people who are employed in the park at Rybolt can go to work and return to work either by walking or by internal transportation without ever having to leave the community.
Part of our plans for Rybolt Park is to give people that come from Highway 50, come from the Chiliota area, come from the Space Coast, to give them an opportunity to get out of their car as soon as possible with parking garages. You'll be able to get out of your car and get into the multimodal transportation system and ride a bus, or for that matter walk, to the University of Central Florida. This will give the university a fourth side to the school for people to gain and leave the campus.
Is a core of Rybolt Park is what we call the Great Park. It's really the chain that binds the community together, and it sounds strong and bold, but it's a pretty bold statement in design, and it's a pretty bold statement in community planning as well, because what we're committing to is a fully connected systems of parks and open space as a great park. Walking trails, community gardens, active sports fields, passive places to sit and relax, just open space, and also a connected natural system, a connected wetland system, connected ponds, both wet and dry from our stormwater management, that all linked together become a great park. If we're looking at what they're teaching about in universities across the country and the idea of the University of Central Florida creating a new planning school, what are they going to be teaching there? This is a model they could go to. Just as Baldwin Park has been a model to be able to walk around and show people how things change, how they work. This is a model that is being taught across the country. There's a lot of things we've taken from the past that we grow, that we've included within the community, things that work, and we've taken some things out we know that don't work within the community. But at universities looking at sustainable design, they're looking at energy efficiency, they're looking at water resources, they're looking at connectivity within the community, the idea of creating internal capture, which means you don't have to leave the community, put traffic on the roads, that is a walkable and connected community, that there's a greater relationship between the housing and the jobs, that we're not separating our jobs, we're not afraid to put our workplaces next to our living places, that our playing places and our entertainment places can be all part of that community, that we look at the great cities around the world, we look at the great cities in the United States and say, how do they work? How do we avoid that urban sprawl, that we just send single-use development out into the edges and don't create real community that brings all these things together?